and Kate here for a very exciting announcement video, and that is an event that I will be a co-host for called Knit and Listen. Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures came up with the idea a couple of months ago and asked if I wanted to be one of the hosts, and of course I said yes. The other hosts will be Kristi from the Tiny Chronicles and Natalie from Curious Reader. We are all booktubers who also happen to knit. I love handicraft. I go back and forth between embroidery, cross stitch, and knitting. Definitely in the fall and winter months, I am much more interested in knitting. So Mel came up with this idea. I think there are a fair amount of knitters out there who also like to listen to audiobooks. And it is amazing kind of how quickly an audiobook can pass by while you are working on a project. So I thought this was just a lovely idea and maybe the first of its kind that's happened on BookTube. But anytime I've talked about knitting or cross-stitching, there's been a fair amount of crafters that have commented. So we thought we'd combine the two. This is going to take place over the month of October, and in the BookTube community, this is, AKA Victober. And Mel thought it would be wonderful if we picked a Victorian audiobook that we could all kind of join in listening together, and we could host different projects that people might be interested in doing. So the book that we have chosen is Bede by George Eliot. I think George Eliot is, I think like the first female authors that people think of are the Bronte sisters, and then maybe Elizabeth Gaskell, and then George Eliot. So she's not quite as talked about as much. I've read 3 of her books and I absolutely loved 2 out of the 3. So Bede is one that I have not read yet. This is her first published novel, and I have heard it is surprisingly well written for being a first novel. This is a tale that's in a really rural community. It's set in the late, I think it's like the very early 1800s. That's what it is. And like I said, it's a rural pastoral community, and there is a love triangle involved. And so I think love triangles, when done well, can really do a good service to a story. So I have good faith that George Eliot will do it well. And I have been wanting to read some more. It's been over a year since I've picked up anything by George Eliot, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I think there are several options as far as getting a hold of the audiobook. If your library does Hoopla, I know that's how I will be accessing the audiobook of Bede. I know Audible also has a couple options there if you are an Audible subscriber. And some of your libraries might have the audiobook available through Overdrive. You just have to look around. But if you cannot find it through any of those options, I think Librivox, which is a free audiobook production source, you can find it through that, either on YouTube or the app. So the readers of it, can be kind of hit or miss, but if you have no other option, I think it's definitely a good resource to use. And especially if you don't feel like paying for an audiobook, if you don't know if you want to keep it. So yeah, that is the book we will be reading. I'm very much looking forward to just sitting and knitting with some George Eliot in the background. Then there will be several different projects that we are hosting. So the project that I was kind of very taken by and will be hosting along with Natalie from Curious Reader is the Erie sweater. So picture inserted there. I don't have the pattern printed out yet. The pattern is around $6 US, so a pretty reasonable price if you're going to pay for a pattern. But I loved the cabling on this. I just thought it was so beautiful, and I really wanted to make it as soon as I saw it. So Natalie and I will be hosting that one. That is maybe a more intermediate one. If you have not done cable knit before, I think it's not quite as scary as some people think it's going to be. Once I actually sat down to do it, it only took me about 4 or 5 tries to successfully get the cable knit stitch. I will insert links to several videos showing you how to do that down below. But I think also if you just want to message me on Instagram or leave comments on this announcement video, anytime you're having trouble with the project, hopefully, with other people commenting, we can kind of figure out exactly how we want to proceed, any steps you're confused about in the pattern. I will also recommend, it is a somewhat complex pattern, so I would read it around 3 times before you even start. So this is a pattern that looks like it recommends sport weight yarn. And so I picked this sport weight yarn, which I wanted to hold it up for the video, but of course I left it up in the room where the baby's napping and I'm not disturbing his nap. But it is in a color called Currant. So it's a really dark wine color. And I was thinking about what color I wanted to do this in, and I realized I don't have any like jewel tone wine colored sweaters, and I think that's such a pretty color for winter. So hopefully, you know, I would make the majority of this, I would have the majority of this finished in October. And yeah, I'm just really very much looking forward to it. And it does require 2 different knitting needles. And so yeah, so there are a couple materials you will need to get for it. And I think you can make do. I don't think you necessarily need cable needles if you're going to do cable knit. I think that can be a nice accessory, but you can make do without those. So I very much hope you will be joining me and doing the Erie sweater and joining with Natalie as well. So then I think Mel had not quite decided on what project she is doing yet, but by the time this video is up, hopefully I will have a link for you. If not, I will just link her channel down below, because I think she's going to be picking something maybe a little bit more beginner friendly, if this would be a first sweater for you. And then Kristi is going to be doing, oh, I had it written down. Let me grab it. Kristi is going to be doing the Flax Light Sweater by Tin Can Knits. This is a free pattern, and it is a more basic pattern. It looks really beautiful. I love the neckline on it, so I definitely recommend you look at the other ladies' patterns before you make a decision, if you decide that you do in fact want to participate. So I think we will do the hashtag Knit and Listen 2019 if you want to participate on social media and put that on there. I think that is everything that I wanted to say. Hopefully I remembered everything I needed to announce. Please let me know if you'll be joining in. I know that I do have some, like I said, some crafters that are subscribed to me. So I think this will be really fun and just another way to make Victober even more exciting. So yes, hope you're all having a lovely day, and I will be back for another video soon. Bye.